roster, a coaching staff, in a way to always keep the offense running at a high level?
It starts with the mentality, I believe. Obviously, it starts with the quarterback first and foremost. Russell's a special football player, but then to create an identity within the entire organization, not just offense, but defense, special teams, the way people speak to one another, the way people treat one another in that building, just being there, and what Pete and John Snyder have done, just from a philosophical standpoint, and creating a culture where there's a genuine respect for one another in the way they and what each person is being asked to do, and then as you get to the football field, creating an identity within each aspect of the game, and so when you watch Seattle, they have a clear identity on what they're trying to achieve, play in and play out. They play hard, they play fast, they play together. It's a really cool group to watch, and it's one that's has been able to keep uh, consistent throughout the years, mainly because of the messaging, obviously, that Coach Carroll has, and and again, like I said, the respect that everybody has for one another within that building.
Hello, Robert.
Uh,
I have kind of a general question for you. What are the biggest strides your defense has made in the 4 years you've been here? And then where do you want to see more improvement in 2021 from them?
Absolutely. You know, uh, obviously the players we have here, they're unbelievable. Like I've said over and over again, John and Kyle have done such a good job bringing in tremendous character people who love football, and they're pretty darn good football players too. So that always helps. But the scheme, understand the scheme. They understand what we're asking of them. After 4 years, there's just uh, a wink and a nod, if you will, in terms of we can just make eye contact and they know exactly what we're already saying. So their grasp and understanding of the system is at a very very high level. So it allows them to play extremely fast. Secondly, we've obviously with the players and what we've had and just always being able to communicate with one another and share thoughts. I feel like the system has kind of evolved into its own unique deal within the league. We're not old school Seattle like we when we came in here, and we're not anyone else. We've just kind of created a system that's unique to the San Francisco 49ers, and our play style and demeanor I feel like is unique to us. So it's been cool because we've been able to do it together, not only as a staff but as players who have been here. It's been a group effort. And it's been a pretty great experience. As far as next year's concerned, obviously you're always trying to add a little bit more and create. You go through the South Scout and all that stuff, but you really there's just trying to. You go back and study, and you just want to see what teams were attacking throughout the year and which hole you can close, and by adding to the system without overloading the players. That's always the key: is how much more can you do without putting too much on the players' plate, so they can continue to play as fast as possible, as instinctively as possible, and with no gray area. And so that'll always be the challenge. And so we're always going to try to evolve the system and make it and set it up in a way where our players can play extremely fast, but at the same time making coordinators have to work extremely hard to call the perfect play, and then obviously teams on the opposite side having to perform at their highest, from a precision standpoint, at their highest level, and that will always be the goal.
Robert, forgive me if you've been asked this already, but earlier this season when you faced Seattle, you really struggled defending DK Metcalf. What did you learn from that game, and why are you confident your defense will do a better job against him this time?
DK, his rookie year, obviously he did a lot of good things, and everyone talks about his size and all that. You know what? The big thing we learned is that Russell is not afraid to throw those glances through the middle of the field. He's such a big body; he's darn near a tight end, and we've when safeties are coming out of the middle of the field, we call it get on course, and we have such respect to the strike zone and what we're trying to get done with regards to below the neck and above the knee, and make sure that everything is legal, which we always will be, but we do it to maintain a certain level of physicality. But when you do that on such a big body and a big human like a guy like DK, he is a very physical human, to where it's almost not very good from a safety standpoint for a defensive player of a defensive back of the size of a defensive back. So just emphasis if Russell's going to continue to throw those things over the middle, just again being conscientious of playing within the game, keeping our violence, but understanding that we have to really lower our strike zone a lot more than what we normally teach in order to give ourselves a chance to defend them.
Hey, Robert. If this is the end of the road, it's been nice working with you, but maybe we'll see you again. I wanted to ask you about Javon Kinlaw. I understand it's, at that position, fans, journalists maybe not notice guys for long stretches. And there have been, plenty of splash plays he's made, but there are also times where you maybe not notice him for a while. I guess, do you kind of agree with that? Is that just normal? And what is your overall assessment of his rookie season?
Give me the one. I missed the very part you were getting in. You were choppy in there. I apologize. It was choppy. Just the first part of the question.
Oh, just about Javon. I mean, at that position, it seems like guys can disappear maybe to fans or media.
I got you. It's so with regards to Kinlaw, when you get like I said, it's just my opinion that the second hardest position behind the quarterback is the interior defensive lineman. It's a different animal in there. You're dealing with. You can't bully people like you have your entire life. You go through high school, college, you're just bigger, stronger, faster than everybody. And then you get to the NFL, and the blocking combinations are different, the speed's different, the power is different, their pass rushing is different because those guys play a game within a game. And so there's a huge learning curve with regards to being able to go in there and play at a very consistent level. So you're right, they can disappear at times because they don't have stats. There's no splash plays. But with regards to Javon, I think his track this year and what he's been able to do as a rookie has been awesome. I think a lot of people, especially in this area, got spoiled with Bosa last year because it's kind of a unicorn type season that he had a year ago for a rookie. But for Javon, I just think the world of him and what he's been able to do this season. I love his mindset. I love his practice habits. I love his want for more knowledge, and because of it, I just think once he puts together a great NFL offseason and continues to build all that strength that he has and really hones in on his weight, he learned what kind of weight he wants to play at, and so I just think the sky's the limit for him. I think he's going to be very, very disruptive in there. I think he's going to be a force on the interior of this defensive line for a while, and it's obviously for him, it's going to start with this offseason and doing everything he can to get a little bit stronger. And then obviously if he plays with the same mindset and the same intensity that he has all season, it's only going to become easier, and he's going to get to that point where he just overwhelms people.
Robert, apologies. I was a little late. You were actually early, which is a rare occurrence. But I did want to say, if this is the last time we do this, I appreciate your professionalism and how helpful you've been through this. And you're going to leave big shoes to fill. And I'm also curious, in terms of the last 4 years and how you've developed as a coach, what are the lessons that you're going to take with you if you do end up becoming a head coach, and how did those sort of materialize, do you think?
Through 4 years, I'll be honest, just watching, I've been very, very fortunate of just being able to, just throughout my career, being able to learn from many people. And so when I look at the leadership that John and Kyle have provided here, and it's been eye-opening in terms of the way organizations run and what those two have done, just from not only a collaboration standpoint, but from a vision standpoint in terms of getting everybody on the same page and creating a mindset within an organization where we all, again, in this building, we just all have such a great appreciation for one another. And we've been stuck in this hotel for over a month, but there's no other team that I don't think there's a team in the league that can handle it like we have, because we actually like hanging out with each other. And so there's not a lot of teams that actually like one another, and I think that this team has built a genuine appreciation for that, and it starts with Kyle and John and the way they've operated. So obviously, scheme is always going to evolve, and And but when you just look at the way teams run themselves, when you look at Kyle and Con, Kyle and John, to me they are the in my eyes they're the standard. I mean, they're phenomenal. So.
Robert, Kyle talked about Fred Warner yesterday and how he's so deliberate in his preparation. What do you see from him that stands out in his preparation and how he approaches every day, just in his progress since his rookie year?
Man, Fred's he's special. So he's the way he watches tape, he's the questions he asks. He's so coachable in the sense that he's if he's off an inch, he wants to know, and he's one of those rare guys that you can give all that information to, and he's going to be able to make it work for him. So his preparation, he is relentless. It's not only off the field with practice habits or film study and being coachable and staying ahead of it by watching tape, but I think what makes him even more special, for lack of a better term, but when he gets out to the practice field, whether we're in walkthrough, the deliberateness at which he operates there, we go to individual, and every rep is as important as the next one. Every rep is so important to him. And then when we're in practice, he reps every rep as if it's a game, which is what you strive for as a player. But there's days where I just know it. There's days where I'm sure he doesn't want to get up, but he finds a way to get up for every single meeting, every single practice, every single walkthrough, every single individual period. He doesn't waste a rep, and because of that, he's finding ways to get better every single day. There isn't a day that goes by where I don't think he goes to bed better than he was when he woke up, and that's the ultimate goal of every person in life, in my opinion. And he is the example of that, and that's why, just in my eyes, I still don't think he's scratched the surface. I think there's going to be more for people to see out of him.
Hi, Robert. I thought that Kello had an interesting thought on K'Wan Williams the other day, where he said that K'Wan's presence, just because he's able to disrupt and blitz and do all this, actually makes the game slower for the other defensive backs in a good way. I wanted to ask about that kind of impact. I know you've preached interconnectedness on the defense. Do you view K'Wan as kind of a piece that can facilitate a domino effect for the other defensive backs? And is there another position that may not, or another player that may not get as much press that facilitates a similar kind of positive domino effect as the one that Kello was talking about with K'Wan?
For sure, the nickel position, in our scheme, we want our guys to go as fast as humanly possible. The faster you go, the faster you clear it up for other people. And so with KK and all his with all his preparation that he goes through and his instincts and understanding of football, when he makes a decision, there is no gray area in how he reacts, and because of it, it is very easy for players to play off one another. They feel color, they feel him going. It's just he clears up the picture. It's when players are what we call floating that it just muddies up because you just can't feel where he is and what he's about to do. And so the reason why everyone loves KK, especially yours truly, the speed at which he operates and the instincts and the trigger, we call it trigger, and the way he triggers on game day and within each play, it clears everything up for everybody. And we allow KK to do some things that are not in our playbook because we know he's going to go 100 miles an hour, and if he can, like I said, it clears it up. And the nickel spot probably is the most one of the more important spots on our team, just because of the fact that it clears up for a lot of people. As another position, it's really all of the positions. I mean, they all play off one another to give one over the other. There's, like I've said, Jimmy Ward. I know he gets a lot of love from us and the way he plays, and obviously the two linebackers, Fred and Greenlaw, when they're in their nickel situations. The D-line with how fast they go. I mean, we strive for that at every single position, and but KK, when he's in there, because he is uniquely good at that nickel spot, he does clean it up for a lot of the guys.
Two more, folks.
Robert, is there a player on your defense this season who stepped up and exceeded expectations more than Kerry Hyder?
Oh man, God, I can go through the whole list. I think I'll start at the D line. I think Dion Jordan has. I know people are going to look at stats, but I think Dion Jordan, what he's been through in his career, what he's been going through physically this year, and what he stands for, is unbelievable to me. I can't say enough about that man. Let's see who else. Obviously, I can go through the list. I'm sure I'm going to forget someone, and I don't want to. But just overall, the D-line and the way they've been able to play off one another with all the injuries and the shuffling and all that. Fred and Greenlaw have been steady. Aziz has stepped up. He obviously we had to trade Quan, and he stepped up and he's played very well at that Sam linebacker spot. I'm so happy for Jason Verrett and what he's been able to accomplish, having gone through everything he's gone through, and now he's got one more game to finish, and he loves playing football. And obviously Jamar Taylor, I know he's not here. I mean, the stuff he did for us when KK was down, for him to step in and take the coaching and do what he did, despite the fact that he'd been everywhere and he's played at a very high level. Dante Johnson's still rolling, and we've asked him to play multiple roles on this defense, and he's been able to play very well. But when you just look at the shuffling, the T. Moore stepping in and getting some really good playing time without Tart and Jimmy Ward being in there, Marcel, there's so many guys I can go through on the defense in terms of them getting their opportunities, and then at the same time making sure that they do everything they can to maximize their opportunity. And none of those guys have made excuses. None of them have talked about lack of reps. Nobody has talked about the scheme. Nothing. It's just they've all put their hats on, and they've played for one another, and it is a very, very special group. And again, it starts with Kyle and John and the men that they brought in here. They love football. They want to play, and so I'm sure I missed somebody. But with what's happened this year and all the circumstances, the way they've played for one another, and every guy has such an unbelievable story. It's I would be doing somebody a disservice by trying to go into detail on each one. So
last one, folks.
Okay, Robert, I'll kind of book in this. The first question was about Pete Carroll, what he's been able to build. I think probably the same could go for Bill Belichick, a defensive head coach. I mean, I think you probably kind of know where I'm going with this, and I know you don't want to look ahead to any job possibilities, but when you talk about the identity of a defensive head coach, intertwining defense with offense, are you talking mindset? Are you talking style of play? And if you want to take it this far, what can we expect from you when you get that opportunity of how those two pieces of the puzzle fit together?
I'll use this building as an example, because I know Kyle. I think people get lost with offense defense, and I'm going to use Kyle as an example. Kyle is obviously he's an offensive mind. He got here because he's one of the best quarterbacks, or one of the best offensive coordinators this league has ever had. I think what people miss when they watch teams like ours, when they watch the Rams, and they watch these offensive mindsets, or whatever head coaches, when they label them that way, I think what people miss is that these guys, Kyle Shanahan is an unbelievable leader with regards to tying an organization together with one vision. There is a toughness, there's a mindset. We're a team that will stand in the middle of the ring with anybody and punch and punch and punch until the final bell rings, and that's because of the mindset that he brings day in and day out, the mindset of the players that they bring day in and day out, and so offense, defense, special, it doesn't matter. It's the mindset of the person in charge that creates an atmosphere in which players compete, and players fight for one another, and players have a genuine love for one another, and that's what this building represents. And so all of the stuff that gets talked about with regards to that, just look at the leader in charge, and you look at a guy like Kyle Shanahan, Sure, he's offensive, but the man's a leader. The way he communicates with one another, with all of us, the way he communicates with John and vice versa, and the expectations and the standards that he has is why he's an unbelievable head coach. Not because he's a good play caller. It's because of what he represents as a leader and the way he communicates with us. And so, all of that stuff aside, I think just our building's a living example. I mean, our guys, our players are the best in the world, man, and they've been, and I'm just excited to work with them again. So it's gonna be fun.
All right, thanks, folks.
All right, thank you, guys.
Hey guys, we got Mike Mcglinchey here for you.
Hey Mike, how you doing?
Good, man. How you doing, man?
Doing well, thanks. Hey, how do you look? I know you still have one game left in this season, but up to this point, how do you feel about where you are with your game all around and where you need to go next season to take your game to a higher level?
I think I'm okay with it right now. I think there's a lot of things that I did really well all year. There's things that I did a lot better than last year, but I wasn't consistent enough. And the fact of the matter is there were some bad moments this year that I let my team down when they needed me to be at my best, and I didn't get it done. And I will be the things I need to do is just be consistent. It's not as big of a drastic change as everybody would like to make it out to be. It's only a small fix here and there, and it's not like it's happening throughout an entire game. It's cleaning up the really bad plays that I've had, especially in pass protection, and getting consistent and becoming the player that I know I can be in that area, and just staying at it. And the things that will help me get there is by focusing on what's important to me, and blocking out the stuff that hurts me and hinders my ability to get there. But it's just a matter of consistency for me, I think. I don't think it's anything that's glaring. I don't think it's anything that needs a major fix. It's a body position thing here. It's fitting your hands a little bit better there. And it's finishing plays and finishing games. And that's what I'm gonna do moving forward. And it's something that I've definitely learned throughout this year. And it's been a tough year, but it's not as drastic of a change as I think people would like to think. But it's a matter of being consistent and being the guy that my team needs me to be in the biggest moments at the biggest times.
Hey, Mike, there's you got this nickname, Big Slim or whatever.
Big what?
This season, Big Slim.
Huh.
What, am I missing the Big Slim? Whatever. Anyway, a reference to that you've looked slimmer. Lynch and both Lynch and Chan have been asked, about you possibly needing to, it might help you to add some weight this off season. Have you had those discussions, and where do you fall on that? Do you think that is a factor in anything that you were just talking about?
No, I don't think my size has anything to do with my inconsistency of play this year. I think could I be a little bit bigger? Sure, but the Big Slim was a nickname that Sherm gave jokingly. I was maybe 5 pounds lighter than I was last year. I just I guess maybe I was put together a little bit better. I don't know, but it's a matter of, yeah. And if that's a conversation that I have to have with them, with John and Kyle and Dustin Perry, our head strength coach, then absolutely. But I would not equate the things that happened to me this year based off of my body weight. No, I think it was it was all technique based. It was all having my feet in the ground when I needed to have my feet in the ground. but yeah, whatever plan Dustin, John, and Kyle have for me is what I'm going to do. I've never been afraid of hard work. I've never been afraid of get in the weight room, and but no, I don't think my body weight was an issue at this year. I mean, sure, maybe it'll help with a full off season and a normal off season without the hindrances of having things closed down, needing places to go. Maybe that 5 pounds comes back, but no, I stayed at 295, 300 pounds this year, and like I said, it was maybe 5 pounds less than last year. So I think the plan that we have together, me and Dustin and I, are extremely close. We're extremely good at what we do, and I'm very proud of the work that I do in the off season. And whatever plan that they have for me is what I'm going to do, and I'll put my nose to the grindstone and do it. And but I don't think that was an issue, the issue for me this year. No.
Mike, I'm sure you heard what Kyle Shanahan said earlier in the week about about your fifth-year option, and he said they haven't really talked about it, but I'm just curious what your reaction was to him saying you're going to be here for a while, sort of no matter what. And also, does a fifth-year option, a contract issue like that, is that on your mind at all as this season's going on, and is that maybe a reason to press or anything like that?
No, to be honest with you, the same as Kyle. I didn't realize it was up. I didn't realize that was something that we had to decide on relatively soon. I don't think about that. I think if any player thinks about their contract or anything I don't know how you could operate and play free on a field if that was something that you were worried about. I have people that take care of that for me, and it's not my decision. But at the end of the day, I want to be here. I love it here. I love our coaching staff. From the top, I love our front office, and I've proven this year and what the circumstances have been for this team. We have the best ownership group in football. So this is the place I want to be. I want to be a 49er for as long as they'll let me be one. I'm thankful that I have the head coach that I have because of the things that he said, and he's absolutely right. I think that I've gone through some hard times this year. There's no question about it, but I will not let that overlook the good things that I've done on top of it. And yes, I need to improve. I absolutely need to improve, and nobody will admit that, and nobody will be harder than that on me than me. And so moving forward, it's just like I said earlier, it's just a matter of consistency, blocking out the noise, blocking out the stupid stuff that all it does is bog you down, and it makes you worse in the long run. And I think that if I've learned anything, it's to keep going and focus on what I see and focus on what's the facts of what the matter is on film, where I need to improve, and how to do it to the best of my ability. And I'm going to do it. I know I'm going to do it. And like I said, the problems aren't that glaring. I have to clean up, the really bad plays here and there. And like I said, I will, and it's going to get done, and it's going to be an exciting opportunity to move forward in 2021. And like I said, I want to be a Niners for a very, very long time.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Cam.
I wanted to ask from a captain's point of view, how did you guys just get through this season? Did you have to have multiple player meetings when times are tough, when you lost certain players? And how do you go about doing that in a year like this where you have to do virtual meetings, or do you do that out on a practice field?
It was very difficult. It was difficult for everybody. But the only times we ever really had those types of meetings were, honestly, it was logistics, because of how many logistical issues we've had this year, between moving, between virtual, between in-person practices versus walkthroughs versus who's up and who's not. It was definitely a trying year in that regard, and it's one of those things that I thought we handled pretty well, other than the results. And I think that that'll come, and those things will come. And I thought that we had a great leadership group from the top, starting with Kyle and John and Jed and the York family, and it trickled down to us. And yeah, it was we didn't get as much hands-on work as captains normally do, but I don't think that was an issue at all this year. And like I said, the only meetings we really had were really logistical meetings that we needed to have everybody on the same page on.
Hey, Mike, a question about your bookend, Trent to forget what he went through in 2019, missing the whole season. Just seeing whether you had that same reaction and whether there was anything sort of behind the scenes that you witnessed him, working through in training camp, getting back to that Pro Bowl level that he was in 2018, his last full season.
I think the only thing that was ever going to hinder Trent was just getting the command of our offense, and he proved that that wasn't an issue after the first week of training camp. So after that, we kind of knew who we had. We knew the player that we have. We knew the guy that we had, and the results speak for itself. I mean, Trent, once he hit the ground running this training camp, we knew he came back with something inside him, that he had something to prove, and he had something to prove, and he knew that he could still play this game. We all knew that he could still play this game, and now the world knows that he can still play this game, and he can still play it to as good as anybody that's ever played our position. And it's impressive the job that he's done this year, to come in and set the tone right away, and the level of play that he's been able to upkeep this entire year, given a chance that our offense and the things that we're asked to do, and especially in the run game and blocking surfaces and stuff like that, isn't easy to pick up on. And he did it without an off season. He did it without. I mean, granted, yes, he had familiarity from his time in Washington with Kyle and the rest of those guys, but it's not the same. And after 9 or 6 or 7 years away from them, the job that he did in commanding our job and his job was truly, truly impressive. Trent's been an awesome teammate. He's been an awesome competitor, and obviously one of the elite offensive tackles in football. And the job that he's done for us this year, speaks volumes. And hope to God we can keep him for a little bit longer here.
2 more, please.
Mike, with you being so hard on yourself, how do you find the balance between instinct on the field and then not overthinking things on the field? And then also, finally, your prediction for your alma mater.
I'll do the prediction first. I'm not going to sit here and guarantee wins, especially against a team like Alabama. But Notre Dame's ready to compete, and they're ready to be on the big stage. These guys have been playing at such a high level all year. Coach Kelly and the staff have done an unbelievable job with them in such a trying year. I can't even imagine how hard it is at the college level. Let alone, because it's hard at the pro level when we have nothing else to do. But these kids, reminder that these kids are 18 to 22 and going to school with kids that have nothing else to do, because, they have nothing to lose. So it's been an impressive year. They're going to compete their butt off, and whatever happens. It's going to be a challenge. Alabama's got they got one of the most prolific offenses in college football history, but Clark Lee, I think he's got a couple more good send-offs before he leaves for Vanderbilt for our guys, and it's going to be fun. And in terms of the balance for me, that is my biggest. It's my biggest problem. It's a balance between wanting to be perfect and playing great football. There's a difference between the two of them, and I think that's a lesson that I've really learned this year, is that no matter what happens, and no matter the mistakes that I've made and the plays that I've given up, I can't ever let it again affect the next week. I can't ever let it again affect the next game. I can't ever let it affect the next play. And that's something that I learned throughout this year, and I learned it the hard way, unfortunately. But it's been a valuable year in that regard. And obviously going back, I obviously read what Kyle had said the other day, and I think that he hit it square on the head. I think it's something that I needed to go through. It's something that I needed to have experience with, and it's something that I needed to do moving forward, because the only person that hindered Mike Mcglinchey this year was Mike Mcglinchey, and I know what I need to do to improve that now, and I know how to get into the right mindset to be able to improve, because when you feel like the weight of the world's on your shoulders, it's impossible to be in the right mindset to want to and to work to improve and to see and to truly be honest with what's going on film. And so that's a valuable lesson that I took this year that I'm going to use moving forward and hit the ground running in 2021. I'm excited for this week and get to build on it against Seattle, who has everything to play for still, and it's going to be a great game and a great opportunity to keep building on something special here.
Last one, Nick.
Hey, Mike. Last off season, obviously the goal was to kind of keep the band together, so to speak, to make another run at this thing. And for the most part, you guys were able to do that. Just with kind of the economic realities and all the free agents you guys have and things like that, is there any sense going into this game that this is maybe kind of the last ride for a big core group of this team? And if so, what does it mean going into this game to have that?
Honestly, it hasn't been something that we've thought a lot about. That's never really something that I ever try and think about. I don't, because we have a job to do. We still have a game to play. We still have to go out and compete and try to beat Seattle. And when the smoke clears and all that, the dust is settled or whatever, that's when we can start thinking about that. Obviously, I have a lot of great friends here, a lot of guys that I really respect as teammates, as football players, and the success that we've had all together. And the things that we've built upon over this, there's been a lot of trying times in the last couple of years, but the ride that we went on last year and the ride that we were capable of going on this year is special. And you want to have as many of the guys and as many of your friends and as many of those dudes back as humanly possible. But the reality is in the NFL, it's almost impossible. So we're going to obviously play as hard as we can on Sunday, do our best to go out with a bang and beat Seattle and play great football. And whatever happens, happens. And it's not something that you like to think about, but it is the hard part of this game, and it is a reality of this game. But it's whatever happens, happens, and we hope, and I hope that we can keep as many of those guys back as possible. But in terms of is that something that we've talked about in the locker room? It's not. Nobody knows what's going to happen, and frankly, almost none of us have control over what's going to happen. So we just got to focus where our task is at hand, and that's beating Seattle this week.
All right, thanks, folks. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys. Happy New Year.
Hey guys, we got a team more here for you.
Tarvarius, how has this season gone for you as far as stepping in, getting a lot of playing time late in the season and working through your game? Are you satisfied with the steps you've made since you've taken over?
I could definitely say, just with the newfound role, me getting more playing time, just builds up my confidence, just getting that experience, getting out there on the field, and just, get back to doing what I do, fly around and out there with my guys. I just think it was a great building experience, just for me unto the ongoing years. And I'm just trying to build on that each and every day.
Getting snaps at both safety spots this year, what has that been like, and kind of experience actual game reps? What is the difference in terms of what's being asked of you there, and have you found maybe one to be more of a fit for you than the other?
With our safety positions, I feel it's always great to know both. So just being interchangeable at those both spots, the biggest difference at strong, just being more down in the box and free. More matched up on receivers, out in coverage. But just coming from a system in college where both safety were kind of interchangeable, I think just definitely helped my transition into doing that.
Hey, Tavares, you came in, at least known to a lot of people as for your speed and athleticism. You have shown some physicality as well. Is that something that's always been a big part of your game, or I don't know, have you become more aggressive and violent in the NFL?
No, I think it's just always been a part of my game. I just never, just played to my true size. I always felt like I played bigger than my size. So, it's always been a part of my game, and it's just catered to what I do best. So.
permanently, or is the speed you have now in your current size an asset for you in that you don't have to gain weight?
I definitely, want to bulk up this off season. Just add the extra, layer just for the protection and the longevity of the season. So that's definitely my goal this off season to gain about at least 5 to 8 pounds of true muscle. But that's about my idea on that standpoint is definitely just to gain that for the added protection and strength to make it throughout the rest of the season.
We can all see that there are a lot of free agents in the defensive backfield, and one of them obviously is Jaquaski. How important is it for you, what you did last week against DeAndre Hopkins and the passing game of Arizona, and this week against the receivers that Seattle has, to be able to kind of make your argument and prove that you're capable of being a week one starter next year?
I mean, I don't, I don't really try to get into much, the off-season, trades and things of that nature. I think just as a team and as definitely, a defensive unit, we're just trying to, focus, put all our energy into this game to go out there and make sure that we end the season out right and, end the season with a winning record in the division. So that's my goal right now, and that's where our mindset is as a team and as a defense. So, the off-season things and off-season plans of the head guys, I just leave that to them.
As Jimmy Ward has kind of been a little bit more vocal with us throughout the season, just this year, what has he been like in your position group as a leader? What have you learned from him?
Oh man, I mean, great leader. 110% each and every day, practice, game, that same intensity. He's going out there every day with that, and just from a friend and a fellow safety, just giving me the guys and the tools and the things that I need, to go out there and play fast. Things that he might see in film or that he's experienced in the game already, so I don't have to go out there and make those same mistakes. So just him being that person that he is, always, just going 100% for the team, always trying to just make sure everybody can do their best. So just having him here along with the other guys, Sherm, when Tart was here, just always looking out for me and everybody else in the secondary, just trying to be the best that we can be. So I think his leadership is greatly appreciated throughout the defense and the team.
Hey, Tarvarius, after the game last Saturday, Akello said that K1's presence, just the way that he can disrupt and really get into the backfield and move around the field, helps the other defensive backs. It slows the game down for the other defensive backs. Can you elaborate on what K1's disruptiveness means to you at the safety position?
Man, a lot. He definitely helps us out a lot. When he's in the mix down there in the box, just being disruptive, or shooting his shot. In the gaps, just clearing up the run for us. And what he does in coverage, getting hands on guys, rerouting, making them, go over the top, just clearing up the reads for us in the back end. He's phenomenal at what he does. So, we just show our appreciation to him and what he do each and every week.
Last one for Jennifer.
Now you've spoken about quite a few guys on your secondary. Is this a group that you would think that appears to be more cohesive, just communicatively and as a work group?
Most definitely. I mean, we're a very young group as a team, as a defense. And a lot of us came in together, so we all have that cohesiveness, as you say, that gel. We work well together, just being in the system so long together, learning it together. It goes hand in hand. So when we out there on the field, whoever they throw in, we all feel comfortable that we can go out and execute the defense at a high level and just maintain that standard that we preach here.
All right, thanks, T. Moore. Thanks,
right.
folks.
Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
Hey guys, we got Trent Williams here for you.
Hey Trent, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing much. Hey, I know we haven't met in person, but I'm Matt Mayoko, president of the San Francisco chapter of the Pro Football Writers of America. And at the end of every season, we present the Gary Niver Award to a 49ers player for his cooperation and professional style in helping the pro football writers do their job. The award was named after the late Gary Niver. He was a longtime beat writer who covered the 49ers during the Super Bowl years of the 80s and 90s. He was really popular with the players, coaches, and fellow reporters. I'm sure you're well aware that you're in a very good locker room with a lot of worthy candidates, but it's my pleasure to announce that you have been chosen the winner of this year's award. So I just wanted to tell you on behalf of all the reporters, we appreciate your openness with all the adversity you've overcome. We've enjoyed your insight, your good humor. Thank you and congratulations, and hopefully sometime in the future we can all meet you in person and shake your hand.
Oh man, I appreciate that. For real, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate that. I never won nothing.
Yeah. So Trent, what's this season? I know when you came here, you know, you weren't expecting to go 6-9 heading into the final game of the year, but just everything involved with it. What's the season been like for you?
It's been a roller coaster to be honest, but you know, I was just so blessed, man, to be back on the field. You know, I know like it sucks losing games, and you know, it sucks that we got a Super Bowl roster, and it hurt. It sucks that we wasn't able to put those guys on the field together, you know, as many times as we needed to have a successful season. So, you know, all that sucks, man. But I was just so blessed to have a chance to put back on my cleats and, you know, strap my helmet back up and like feel the camaraderie of the locker room again. You know, so like I said, it was bittersweet, man. It sucks that we didn't fulfill our potential, but definitely sweet, man, getting back out there with the guys and feeling that adrenaline rush again of playing football and just being a person I feel like God designed me to be.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I do believe you won the Washington's version of this award maybe in 2015.
Did I?
thought
Oh,
saw
that's
that
a long time
on
ago.
their website.
If I did, man, I forgot. But I ain't gonna forget this one, I promise you.
Not your first rodeo. I wanted to ask you something about what you said last week. You called your journey a mountain climb, coming back from cancer and from not playing in 2019. I was wondering, you know, as far as 2019, when it was that you were finally able to start training again, like once all your surgeries were over, and I believe they told you that you weren't even allowed to work out or anything for a little while after that. When was it that you started that climb back to the top?
It happened late, man. My last surgery was June 14th, I believe, of 19. So yeah, I think I had to take a couple weeks off after that one. It was minor, but it was just I had to rest for like 3 weeks, I think. So I honestly started training, trying to get in shape in like July. You know, and I had pretty much had that. That was about 6 to 7 months, 8 months of nothing. So it was tough.
Trent, congratulations.
Thank you.
Mike was just in there talking about how hard it is to find a balance between instincts and then overthinking what you do on the field. Was there a point for you when you hit that point where you could just go instincts, or have you talked to him about finding that balance?
Yeah, I mean, as a young player, and especially as a player that has so much talent and so much you get a game, I think, yeah, it does happen a lot where you kind of overthink. You want to be perfect. You know that you can be not a perfect player, but a darn near perfect player. So yeah, it is tough, and it didn't. It took me, 2 to 3 years for me to find a balance of just not overthinking, doing my job, and letting my game come to me. It took a long time, man. It's definitely not as easy as you think. The game of football happens extremely fast, and especially in our position, we're a foot away from our from some of the most scary athletes that you can even think about. So it definitely happens pretty fast, and you got to find that balance, and it takes some time, man. It happens different for everybody, but it definitely is not something you just wake up overnight and say, hey, I think I got it.
Hey, Trent, thanks for helping us out all season.
Thank you.
Looking ahead to next season, in terms of getting healthy, getting all the roster healthy, and adding a couple more parts, what does this team need to do? I mean, you talk about they have potential. We saw that last season. But what more does this team need to do to get back in the Super Bowl contention?
Stay healthy. I honestly think if we had the same team that we opened up, camp with, and obviously getting Debo back, I honestly think that we would be, fighting for number one seed right now, and that's, I think that the proof is in the pudding. They did it last year, so it's not like I'm just reaching for something out of thin air. I definitely think that's our potential, and that's where we should have been, if we weren't so banged up. And I got George messing with me over here. Clown.
Hey, Trent, throughout this year, every time we talk to you and asked you about something that was going wrong, whether it's the record or the injuries or whatever, you kind of had this perspective of, we can only control what we can control. I'm wondering how your perspective has been shaped and maybe changed after what you went through over the last year. If maybe you would have viewed things a little differently, your circumstances before, what all you've been through.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think me going through what I went through definitely shaped my perception of things, and there's a lot of things that I went through that I could not control, and I lost a lot of nights of sleep just thinking about things that were so out of my control there was no point to think about them. But and I spent a lot of depressed days, and so I learned, man. I learned that I just had to handle me and handle what I did, with my 24 hours I was given, and I just feel like the rest would take care of itself. So, yeah, I mean that I probably would have taken all that for granted before going through what I went through, and I'm sure I did. There was times where I did take the game for granted, and I did make bonehead mistakes that I probably wouldn't have made if I was more focused and I was, actually on top of things. So it definitely I learned a huge lesson throughout the process, and hopefully it can continue to shape my life and make me a better person.
We'll do two more for Trent and then get to George. Thanks.
Hey, Trent, it's obviously possible to, I guess, play offense tackle in the NFL to maybe at least 39 for Andrew Whitworth. But do you like say, hey, I don't want to play until they scrape me off the field, or do you say, this body only has, X amount of seasons in it, and I want to make sure I'm not scraped off the field, if you know what I mean?
I think that shifted as well. Going back to the last question, because probably a few years ago I would have told you, maybe I wanted to be the one to walk out. I don't want to be pushed out the door. Obviously I didn't. I would want to leave on top. But now after going through, I went through and had taken a year off of football and thinking that my career was already over. Now I feel like they might have to scrape me off the field. I might be 40 trying to get down in the stands. Somebody gonna have to tell me. I'm gonna need some good friends, because at this point I'm thinking, they probably gonna have to scrape me off the field.
Trent, you've said this is a good match for you in terms of possible destinations or whatever, and also you just mentioned that this is a Super Bowl roster. In terms of priorities, obviously there are business sides of it, but where do you put the roster and the chance at contending in 21 in terms of evaluating your potential landing spots in the spring?
Yeah, I think it goes right up at the top. You know, definitely don't want to be a part of a rebuilding process. A little too long in the tooth for that. So yeah, I think that'll be a very important thing to me, and obviously, I put our healthy roster up against anybody's roster. So, you know, that's how I look at it.
All right. Thanks, Trent.
All right, I appreciate y'all again. Thank you.
We're muted.
Hey guys, we got George here for you.
Howdy.
George, how you doing?
I am excellent. How are you today?
Fantastic. Your teammate was just in there, Trent Williams. What did you learn about Trent? I mean, I don't know if you had any preconceived notions before he became a teammate, but what was it like being a teammate with Trent Williams this season?
Oh, wow. I mean, I had very high expectations for him as a football player, obviously, because of what I've seen and just his reputation as a player in the NFL. I mean, he never really has bad tape, which is pretty hard to do as a football player, and that's like my highest respect for guys is the guys that respect the game and guys that go put good football on tape. And I mean, there's not really a guy that does it better than him. And just having him on the field with us this year is, you felt his presence every single game. And I know I'm just excited to, I'm disappointed he doesn't get to play this last game. I hope that he gets to play more football with us in the future. But overall, just the whole season, it's just fun to watch him play. And I got a couple opportunities like to watch film with him. And Trent doesn't talk too much, which is kind of it's fun. Like he has conversation with guys, but he's not the most vocal guy. But when he talks about football and you watch film with him, just the way he breaks things down, and like how he explains why he blocks people the way that he does, or why, hey, I stepped like this to try to get him to do this, and that's why I club my hands down like that to make him fall on his face. And it's just like how he describes each play it's really fun, and I love listening to him talk about it, because I do really enjoy the offensive lineman stuff. And just when you're as incredibly athletically gifted as he is, and then you also have like his dominance on a football field, those two combinations and how he breaks down the film it's really fun to see. I have a bone to pick with you guys. I heard that he won Media Guy of the Year, and I thought I did pretty good last. I know I was hurt this year, so it's all at Trent's. But last year, I just was told that you guys gave it to Staley because he was retiring. And I think that is a crap load of BS. And so I'm not okay with that. I want to recount, bring Staley back. We're going to revote, and we'll go over it, because I disagree with that. Next. Sorry.
You gotta want it for next year. Last year's over. Hey, Mcglinchey was saying, well, that's the way it goes. George, you're very, I mean, I realize there's a balance, but you are kind of loose on the field. I mean, you're talking to, opponents and everything. Not that you're not serious, but I asked this as a long wind-up, because Mike Mcglinchey was just talking about he wants to be perfect, and, kind of indicated he can get sometimes in his own head and press and stress, and let one bad play affect him. Was that ever an issue with you? Is it a process? And is that something you can help him with?
I mean, it was a huge issue for me in college. It's a reason that, I worked with a sports psychologist going into my senior year, really most of my senior year. And, one of the biggest takeaways I had from that was, I had an issue with, I was always great in the run game, but pass plays, I'd always get in my own head about like, hey, I have to run the perfect route. I have to catch the ball at a perfect thing. I got to run. I got to do all this stuff. And when you think 10 thoughts before the snap, you're going to suck usually. And so my big thing was in college I would draw a big red button on my wrist tape, and it was basically a reset button. You know, every single play, whether it was good or bad, I'd slap the reset button. And you know, there are times obviously like, you know, if I had a good play in the run game, I would just kind of let it roll and keep going. But if I was ever too excited, or if I was ever too down on myself, I'd hit the reset button, and you know, that's all it was for me. And you know, it's kind of a reason I have my Joker tat and I have my Master Chief tat on my arms, is because it's kind of a reset button for me, but it's also kind of a channeling, you know, of energy type of thing. And so, yeah, I mean, a lot of it's mental. Football is, like I always say, I think it's 90% in your head and it's 10% of your physical attributes. And if you can't handle the mental side of it, you know, the physical side doesn't even matter, because you can't go out and play football. So, you know, I try to help, you know, if guys ask me, I try to help them the best as I can. And I think Mike's being nice. He's talking to you guys a lot and give you information. But, you know, I think Mike's a hell of a football player, and I'm not worried about him at all. I know it's different because, you know, Joe Staley on the opposite side is, you know, losing him has to be a difference, because it's a big difference for me as well in the huddle and on the offensive line. And, you know, I don't even know what the relationship is like when you're in the offensive line. Those 5 guys have to work together every single day, and their communication, you know, how they work off each other. So I know that was kind of a big thing for Mike to, you know, lose Joe Staley, who was also an idol of his, an idol of mine as well. So, but, you know, Mike's figuring it out, and I think he's playing at a very high level. He's dominating the run game, and I love to see that. And I'm just happy that I get to play football with him again. I get a chance these last 2 games.
First, we have to set the record straight. We gave Joe Staley the award in 2018, and Richard Sherman won it last year. So, I know that's not going to make you... As far as the tattoos, do you look down at the Joker tattoo to during games to sort of reset yourself at times?
Yeah, 100% I do. You know, not every single play. I think there are plays that I need it. There are plays that I don't need it. You know, both characters on my forearms are completely different, but they do have similarities. And but just it's just kind of however the game's going. I just kind of feel, you know, one or the other, and I just. I mean, you'll see me. Perfect example, you know, before the Saints 4th and 2 play, before I motioned over, slap the forearm, kind of gets me in the right mindset. Hey, just let it loose, attack it, have fun, have some chaos out there. And it's I've done a lot. You know, I did it against the Rams, 4th and 3. Yeah, when it's a high stakes thing, it's kind of what I do. You know, whether I'm getting the ball or not, it just allows me to refocus and recenter myself.
Obviously, it's been tough this year with COVID and the injuries and going to Arizona and all that. And Kyle Shanahan said earlier this week that he thinks this year is going to make you guys better and stronger for next year. As a player, do you share that same perspective? And in what ways will this season, everything you guys gone through, make you guys stronger potentially for 2021?
Well, other than the fact that I'm pretty sure you ran out of questions on your podcast 3 weeks ago, so I don't know how you keep getting, you know, questions asked, but I will answer this one for you. I think for sure, I think we will be a better team, and you know, I don't know what the reasons were that Kyle said, but one of my biggest takeaways from this is because of the, you know, injuries that we had guys that were allowed to step up, and you know. Obviously, like I've said before, it's hard to replace, you know, Richard Sherman on a, you know, daily basis. It's hard to replace Nick Bosa on a daily, you know, basis. But the guys that stepped up got great reps. They got quality reps. They got to get better on us every single day. And because of that, we have young guys that got put into a position they would not have been in had they not had that opportunity. And so we're going to come back next year. We're going to have, you know, who I've said multiple times, who I believe is the second best player in the NFL, and Nick Bosa. He gets to come back. And, you know, the guys that were playing underneath him all got reps all year. And, you know, I'm not really worried about Nick. You know, I could talk enough about Nick Bosa. But the guys that, you know, replace him, I'm excited to see them play. I'm excited that the 6 weeks I was out that, you know, Charlie Warner, Ross Dwelley, Daniel Helm, Jordan Reed, guys got reps. Guys got a lot of reps. Guys got better. And, you know, that's the positive that I take away from being injured is guys get to step up and they get that opportunity. And I think that our team definitely took a step forward when it comes to young guys getting reps on the field, especially because we didn't have an OTAs or training camp really. Chris, you're done with questions, dog. Done.
Last one, folks.
Last one.
Yeah,
Wow.
only one left.
Hi. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Christmas tree's still up.
Well, you know, the 12th day of Christmas is actually January 6th.
Yeah, sure. Okay. You keep telling you tell yourself that.
The Epiphany is the 12th day after Christmas, when they got to baby Jesus.
Okay. I'll just trust you on that one.
It is. Look up the 12th day of Christmas. So, when you've been watching film with Trent Williams, and he's telling you about different techniques, is there anything that you take away from that? Do you use anything that he's kind of talked about in your technique? And then also, NFC West, you guys could come out with being the only team with a winning record in the NFC West. Is that something that you guys are talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited about that. We do have an opportunity. We got the Rams twice, got the Cardinals once. Being able to, win the division would be that'd be kind of fun. Come out on top with the winning record. That's definitely a goal of ours. We want to do that. And I know it's not going to be some easy feat because I know the Seahawks are going for that 1 seed. And so I think it's going to be a hell of a game. You're going to get two teams that are fired up and ready to play. On the Trent Williams note, I could try to take some of the things that he does, but he is so gifted that I don't know if I can really do all that stuff. I think I got the speed and the athleticism, but just the way that he is able to chop people's down because he could walk into a weight room and bench 415 pounds like that without warming up. I can't do that. That's not my strength. But when it comes to the run game and stuff, yeah, no, I think there's a lot of stuff though that I can take from him. And but like I said, at the end of the day, when you got a guy that's as strong and as fast as he is, I don't know if there's really any opposing thing that could really go up against that evenly, day in and day out, other than Nick Bosa. But they had a sick battle in camp, so I'm looking forward to that again. Eric, you're back.
Yeah. Hi, babe.
What'd you say?
Do you have any sort of real relationship with Travis Kelce? I mean, have you developed any sort of kinship? And if so, did you reach out to him after he broke your record? And your thoughts on him breaking your record?
Yeah, no, me and Travis, we stay in contact probably once a week, maybe every other week, but we have for probably the last 2 years. Just hyping each other up, trying to get each other, to have good games. I'm so happy that Travis is playing the way that he is. Like I said multiple times, I looked up to Travis Kelce when I was in college. I still look up to Travis Kelce now. He is this entire year he has raised the bar, of the tight end. And, what they can do, especially receiving wise. I mean, he's a couple, 50, 60 yards away from leading the NFL in receiving yards for the first time ever by a tight end. I mean, that's awesome. And, every time that he does something great or, Darren Waller does something great or tight ends play at a high level, it just elevates the bar for tight ends and it raises the standard for tight ends. And, I think I've said multiple times that I think the tight end position is one of the hardest positions to play on a football field because of all the different things that is required of you, every single play, whether it's pass pro, run game, running a route on man, finding a spot in zone, catching the ball, yak, all the things that you have to do. You do all those things at a high level. And I think Travis has been doing all those things at such a high level all year, and he's been doing it, 6 years in a row over 1,000 yards? It's absolutely incredible. And he's missed, other than his rookie season, I don't know if he's missed a single game. And so, like I said, he's raised the bar, he's raised the standard, and, if guys don't, compete with that, then he's just going to run away with it. And so it's really fun to watch a tight end like that succeed at such a high level and play at such a high level, week in and week out. He's one of my favorite players in the NFL to watch, and I think honestly he should really be up for Offensive Player of the Year because of the things that he's doing as a tight end. It's actually amazing. So this has been a great year. I'm happy that he broke my record because it gives me something else to go after again next year. That's what I'm looking forward to. And, I think he's going to continue to break records. He's going to continue to set the bar and just give someone else, it gives, all of us other tight ends something else to chase.
All right. Thanks, George. Thanks, folks.
See you guys.
That's it for the day.